Odinga raised serious concerns about the government's decision. Despite a High Court ruling in favor of deploying the Kenya Defence Forces, opposition figures, civil society groups and human rights organizations have warned against the potential slide towards a military state. The deployment, defended by President William Ruto as a necessary measure to restore order following violent demonstrations, has sparked a heated debate about the role of the military in civilian affairs and the broader implications for Kenya's democratic trajectory. Susan Nganga with the full report.
Azimio leader Raila Odinga has condemned the recent deployment of military forces to manage protests against the finances.
We lost so many of the young, promising lives unnecessarily during this last 1 week because of trigger-happy policemen who have been given instruction to shoot to kill.
Speaking today at Ugwelo village in Ugunja constituency during the burial of the late Owino Nyadi, Odinga expressed deep concerns about the implications of this decision.
We reached a stage where the government has to go and even bring the military into the streets. This means the civilian authority has failed. The civilian forces have failed to deal with the people. The military are not supposed to be in the streets. Army is there to defend the country against foreign aggression, not to deal with internal strifes. And that's why it is very wrong for him in our court to rule that you can continue to maintain army on our streets.
The High Court recently ruled in favor of the government's decision to deploy the Kenya Defence Forces, a move that was strongly opposed, arguing that the military is to defend the country from foreign threats and not to engage with civilians. Despite the ruling, civil society groups and human rights organizations have voiced their concerns, warning that the deployment could lead Kenya towards a military state.
What Parliament did today was give a blank check of deployment to the KDF, essentially a blank authority. They can go anywhere, they can go anytime, they can go for any purpose for an undefined period. That is the description of a military state. And essentially as Parliament, we just granted Kenya to be a military state.
President William Ruto defended the decision, stating that deploying the military was a last resort to restore order after demonstrators stormed and set fire to parts of Parliament and the Supreme Court buildings.
If I hadn't done what I did, things would have been much worse. In fact, many people ask me, Mr. President, why did you call in the army? I mean, what choice did I have? I mean, it would have been very reckless of me in the face of the kind of harm people had gone through, the 19 lives that were already lost, in the face of a burning Chief Justice Office, Parliament, and the rest of it. I mean, it would have been very reckless of me not to mobilize every arm of government and every arm of our security agencies to protect the country and to protect lives.
This deployment was initially announced by Defense Cabinet Secretary Aden Duale and later approved by the National Assembly in an urgent meeting. The deployment saw at least 23 deaths and hundreds injured. Critics argue that this move is rapidly returning the country to its post-independence police state roots under the regimes of Jomo Kenyatta and Daniel Arap Moi. Even those regimes never deployed troops against unarmed civilian protest. Recent weeks have seen abduction of activists, use of live ammunition, rooftop snipers, internet slowdowns, social media shutdowns, and state-sanctioned armed goons intimidating protesters. Susan Nganga, GBS News.
Religious leaders in Siaya want the government to engage an international mediator in solving the current impasse that saw young Kenyans take to the streets to protest the passage of the finance bill. Through the Siaya Church Leaders Forum, the clerics say that the situation may get out of hand if urgent steps will not be taken to address it, adding that the government will only succeed if an independent international mediator is brought on board to engage the youths. Led by the chairman of the Church Leaders Forum, Archbishop James Opio Anyango, the clerics lauded the efforts that the government was putting in place to ensure that the youths are engaged and their demands are taken into account. The church leaders lauded the Kenyan youths for standing firm in exercising their rights, but called on them to embrace peace and avoid destruction of properties during their anti-government protests. Other leaders who addressed the media during the occasion were Bishop Elias Sewe and Bishop Martin Arara, who called on the government to minimize wastage of public resources to quell the Gen Z protest.
You see, there have been lack of trust among Kenyans, especially the youth. They are not trusting. And also, we find there may be also mistrust from the other end. So what can make things to be streamlined is when we have someone on the throne of mediation, a foreigner, an independent person that all groups will look at him or her with trust. That our youth restrain from destroying our properties during these demonstrations, especially in our area, which has been lagging behind for a long time. The little that we have, let us spare as we do the demonstration. And lastly, we as the clergy of Siaya, we are sending our sincere and heartfelt condolences to the families and friends of those who have lost their lives, the young people who have lost their lives fighting for reality, for sanity of this nation. These our kids, they were not fighting for their own issues. They were doing it on behalf of all of us. So kindly, the families take this, our sincere.
The embezzlement case involving funds from the Uasin Gishu County Education Fund with the County Senator Jackson Mandago as a defendant began today in the Nakuru court. The first witness, Joel Chelule, denied being the chairman of the 1 billion shillings fund and instead revealed that was later informed that he was one of the trustees. Here are the details. Today marked the beginning of a significant legal battle as the embezzlement case involving funds from the Uasin Gishu County Education Fund commenced in a Nakuru County Court. Senator Jackson Mandago stands accused in the high-profile trial. Amidst the courtroom drama, Joel Chelule, the first witness, called to testify, firmly denied assertions that he was the chairman of the contentious 1 billion shillings fund. Instead, he clarified that he had been informed later that he was simply one of the trustees.
Of the program. Yes, subsequent to your travel, you became aware of the program.
That was now in September 2022.
After the travel, you became aware of the program. Well, when did you become aware of the program? Sorry, I just need you to tell the court. You traveled in August of 2021, correct?
Yes.
When did you become aware of the program?
It all started last year when the county of Uasin Gishu faced unprecedented protests from a section of its residents over the misappropriation of funds intended to provide scholarships to over 200 students living in the country.
You are still telling me, ongeza pesa, mtoto aende, ndaongeza pesa mpaka lini ndio mtoto apande ndege aende.
Amanda kwa iendelee kamba ya kila mtu. Hapana mtu kuindavia ya nini?
Mandago and his co-accused persons have denied 10 charges of conspiracy to steal, stealing, abuse of office and forgery in the Finland education program saga. The charge sheet indicates that the three conspired to steal 1.1 billion Kenya shillings from a KCB bank in Eldoret, Uasin Gishu on dates between the 1st of March 2021 and September 12, 2022. The money in the account was originally registered under the county's Education Overseas University fees for students under the education program. As the trial unfolds, stakeholders and citizens alike are watching closely, hoping for justice to prevail and for accountability to be upheld in the handling of public funds meant to benefit the county's educational programs. Kenya and the European Union have enforced a trade deal after a decade of negotiations, opening up the domestic market for tax-free goods from the 27-country bloc after 25 years. In a press release shared to the media, Cabinet Secretary for Investment, Trade and Industry Rebecca Miano announced that the EU-Kenya Economic Partnership Agreement, which preserves unrestricted access to Kenyan goods, the European bloc except for arms, has come into force effective on Monday, the 1st of July. Here is more on the same.
Kenya's exports will now enter the European Union market duty-free after the EU-Kenya Economic Partnerships, also called the EPA, entered into force on July 1st of 2024. The move has now granted Kenyan exports a market reach of 500 million, and in return, Kenya will have to open its market to EU products gradually over a 25-year period. In a statement on Monday, the Investments, Trade and Industry Cabinet Secretary Rebecca Miano confirmed that the EPA is now in force. With the EPA, Kenya will now be granted duty-free, quota-free access to the EU market for all its exports, including coffee, flowers and minerals. According to CS Miano, the EU-Kenya EPA is the most ambitious deal negotiated with an African country in terms of sustainability and can serve as a template for other sustainable trade agreements. These commitments include binding provisions on labor issues, gender equality, environment and the fight against climate change. Kenya is currently East Africa's main economic hub, and the EU-Kenya trade relations have substantial growth potential. The agreement will unlock new economic opportunities as the EU is Kenya's first export destination and the second largest trading partner. Hilary Kabila, GBS News.
Do keep your comments coming in through our SMS line 21144 and GBS TV Africa on all our social media handles. On that note, let us take our very first break. We'll be right back with even more.
Local coordinator at Africa Student for Liberty, as well as I'm the chairperson of Kenyatta University Peer Councillor. Pleasure being here.
What is Gen Z to you, and what does it mean, and which is the age group that the Gen Z have been categorized to be?
We are not complaining. We are just trying to let you know that we are there.
What are the young people going through that a lot of them are going through their mental issues?
But if you go to look for a job there, you'll be asked, whom do you know? Because nowadays it's all about tribalism.
What is this unique things that is making us to be separated, like how they're being named?
I'm a peer councillor, and I've been able to interact with the students at personal level. The first key that comes eminent is the economic strain.
Are you a Gen Z? Are you a youth? What are your impact in the society? What are you bringing on the table? Are you just complaining, sitting at home complaining, oh, CG finance bill?
So through the four gospel books, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, John, we can know the heart of Jesus in depth.
그리고 우리가 느끼는 그 예수님을 성경을 통해 느낄 수 있어서 너무 감사합니다.
And the Jesus that we can feel him through the scriptures, and I'm very thankful about that. Jesus Christ came to this earth for our sins.
지셨고,
he carried our sins.
십자가에 못 박혀 죽어 죄의 형벌을 당하셨고,
and he was crucified and he received the punishment for sins.
무덤에 들어가셨다가,
and he was put into the tomb.
사흘 만에 부활하셨습니다.
and resurrected in 3 days.
이것이 우리가 말하는 복음입니다.
This is the gospel that we speak.
예수님께 우리 죄를 위해 죽으신 이야기.
About how Jesus died for our sins. The purpose of Jesus being crucified.
우리 죄를 담당하기 위하여 십자가에 못 박혀 죽으셨습니다.
He was crucified to pay for our sins.
예수 십자가에 못 박혀 죽으심으로 우리 죄가 분명히 씻어졌는데.
And through Jesus being crucified, clearly our sins have been washed clean.
참 안타깝게도 많은 사람은 여전히 죄인이라고 말합니다.
However, unfortunately, many people still say that they are sinners.
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back. You're still watching GBS News at 9, and now to matters international news. Female suicide bombers targeted a wedding, a hospital, and a funeral in the town of Gwoza in northeastern Nigeria on Saturday, killing at least 18 people and injuring 30 others, some critically. The attacks occurred in quick succession, with the first bomber detonating explosive at a crowded wedding celebrations, followed by blasts near a hospital and a funeral for the initial victims. The casualties included children, adults, and pregnant women. Here is the full report.
Authorities stated 18 deaths has been confirmed on Saturday, a toll that included children, adults, and pregnant women. Some locals have reported a much higher toll. Nigeria's Vanguard newspaper stated at least 30 has been killed in the blast. The degree of injuries ranges from abdominal ruptures to skull and rib fractures. A curfew has been imposed by the military. No one has admitted carrying out the attacks, but the Nigerian-centered Islamic State West African province insurgents have previously claimed deadly bombings in Borno. In the past, Boko Haram has used women and girls in suicide bombings, prompting suspicions that some from the many thousand that they have kidnapped over the years. The resurgence of suicide bombings in Borno raises significant concerns about the security situation in the region. The discovery of these bombs underscores ongoing challenges in clearing morsels of explosive and revitalizing devastated urban areas. International efforts supported by the United Nations focus on mine clearance and aiding in the city's recovery. Despite progress, much of Moses' old city remains in ruins, marked by many field warning signs. UNESCO aimed to complete the full reconstruction of all Nile mosques by December 2024.
Mauritania held presidential elections on the 29th of June, with incumbent President Mohamed Ghazouani seeking re-election. According to provincial results, Ghazouani won the election with 55.82% of the vote, while the runner-up was opposition candidate Biram Da Abeid with 22.35%. The key issues in the election included youth unemployment, the terrorist threat in neighboring countries, and the cost of living. Mauritania's ruling El Nsaf party has as well previously scored a landslide victory in the 2023 legislative elections. Here are the details.
In second place was opposition candidate Biram Da Abeid with 22.35%, followed by Hamadi El Mokhtar, leader of the National Rally for Reform and Development Party with 13%. Parliamentarian El Aid ranked fourth with 3.46%. Mamadou Boukari secured fifth place with 2.24%, while opposition candidate and Otuma Somar ranked sixth with 2.14%. Finance Inspector Mohamed Lamin finished with the last 0.98%. Opposition candidate Da Abeid refused to recognize the vote results, calling it an electoral coup. He said that the campaign is investigating the results announced by the commission, saying he will not accept any fraud. The Election Commission is expected to announce preliminary results of the presidential elections later on Sunday. Their ballots on Saturday to choose a new president among 7 candidates. There are 1.9 registered voters in the North African country with a population of some 4.5 million, according to the figures from the Commission. If none of the candidates are able to secure a majority, the top 2 candidates will go to a runoff on July 13.
Iran is headed for a presidential runoff election on the July 5th after no candidate secured more than 50% of the vote in the initial election. According to provisional results, former nuclear negotiator Saeed Jalili received 9.4 million votes, while reformist candidate Masoud Pezeshkian, a lawmaker and a heart surgeon, received 10.4 million votes. The runoff comes after the ultimately death of former President Ibrahim Raisi in a helicopter crash in May. Let's get the full report.
Iran is headed for a runoff election as no candidate secured more than 50% of the votes in the recent presidential election. The election has seen a turnout of 39.9% among the eligible 61 million Iranian voters. Saeed Jalili, known for his military background and government experience, will go up against Masoud Pezeshkian, a lawmaker and heart surgeon with support from some pro-reformers. The runoff election on July 5th will determine who will succeed the late President Ibrahim Raisi, who tragically died in a helicopter crash in May, along with several other senior officials. This will only be the second runoff presidential election in Iran's history, with the last one occurring in 2005. As the country prepares for the historic second round of voting, the eyes of the nation and the world will be on Iran for the outcome of this highly anticipated election.
Marine Le Pen's far-right National Rally Party on Sunday made historic gains, winning the first round of France's parliamentary elections with around 34% of the vote, according to exit polls. This was a significant setback for the President Emmanuel Macron, whose Centrist Together alliance came in third with just 20.5% to 23% of the vote. The left-wing New Popular Front coalition came in second with around 29% of the vote. However, the final result will depend on the outcome of the second round of voting next week, as well as political deal-making between the parties in the coming days. Here is that report.
The exit polls from Ipsos, IFOP, Opinionway and Elabe projected the RN securing approximately 4% of the vote, marking a historic surge for the party. This outcome dealt a severe blow to President Emmanuel Macron's camp, who had called for the snap election following a resounding defeat in the European Parliament elections earlier this month. In contrast, Macron's Together alliance gathered between 20.5% to 23% of the vote, trailing behind both the RN and the New Popular Front, a coalition of left-wing parties hastily forms ahead of the elections, which was projected to secure around 29%. Center-right and center-left parties have formed alliances, known as the Republican Front, to prevent the far-right from gaining power. This strategy, however, faces unparalleled challenges in the current political climate. Jordan Bardella, the 28-year-old president of RN, expressed readiness to assume the role of prime minister if his party secures an absolute majority. Bardella emphasized his commitment to constitutional principles while advocating for policy initiatives aligned with RN's platform. Official results from Sunday's elections are expected in the coming hours, providing clarity on voter turnout and confirming the accuracy of exit polls projections. The high turnout observed underscores the heightened political engagement among French voters in this pivotal election. As the nation braces for a decisive second round on July 7th, France stands at a critical juncture, navigating the potential implications of a strengthened far-right presence in its parliamentary landscape.
Joe Biden's debate performance against Donald Trump was widely criticized as a train wreck and a disastrous screening. The issue stemmed from a series of strategic slip-ups by Biden's top advisors, including Anita Dunn and Jen O'Malley-Dillon. Critics argued that the Biden was over-coached and the debate strategy, which focused heavily on countering Trump's falsehoods, was ill-suited for him. Trump, on the other side, repeated a series of well-worn, glaring tales during the 90-minute debate on Thursday, including claims that he actually won the 2020 election. Here are the details.
President Joe Biden's recent debate performance on Thursday last week against Donald Trump has been widely criticized as a train wreck. The disastrous showing was a result of missteps by Biden's top advisors, leading to calls for him to withdraw from the 2024 race due to a lack of rest and poor preparation.
Country is exploding because of you. My son was not a loser, was not a sucker. You're the sucker. You're the loser.
Biden's aides had warned against sending him out sick and exhausted. Florida Attorney John Morgan suggested firing senior aide Anita Dunn for her role in the debacle. The debate strategy was approved by campaign chair Jen O'Malley-Dillon, but Biden's campaigns has dismissed any staff shakeup. Biden's debate performance has sparked discussions about his future as a Democratic candidate. A flash poll showed only that 2% approved of his performance, with 63% among Democrats. A recent poll revealed a decline in voters' confidence in Biden's fitness, with 3 out of 5 viewers believing Trump outshone him, raising concerns about both candidates' suitability for the presidency.
Many thanks for joining this live broadcast. We have a lot lined up for you in a news segment tonight. And that international news brings us to our sport news, but first let us take a quick commercial break.
Hello everyone! Welcome to Fun. And the hyenas were there. They wanted to snatch the baby and tear that baby into pieces and eat.
Today, we're going to make a cactus in a pot. Hey, you, Colt on. Are you biting your thumb at me? I love my mommy. I love my mommy. Yes, I do.
Are you going to show love to your friend? I'm sure you are going to do that. Friends, until next time, bye! Is the topic for me. Hebu watuambie wanabebanga wapi, where. Anyway, I'm so excited about the topic. They should tell us kama ni kwa magoti ama ni kwa tumbo ama ni wapi.
So today about the topic is pregnant men. You are going to see about that. We have the one gentleman in the building.
Maybe for me you explain to me how nyinyi ni career aje, tunafeel aje the same aje.
First of all, men we are also pregnant. Why? When you see, right when the wife gets pregnant, she will start vomiting, right? When she starts vomiting,
so
you already
vomit.
Okay, I cannot vomit. I'm already psychologically now. I also start changing. She's changing physically. I'm changing psychologically.
Yeah.
That's where it starts.
Okay.
No. It's not only 9 months. Because also, kuna vitu nimegain from that pregnancy zenye zinafaa zitoke kwangu. Mishiri.
The stretch marks?
Zitaisha. Uko nazo.
You don't have?
Uko nazo.
If I marry a woman, we already won. So I feel what she feels.
Everywhere, GBS.
Mara Sugar has been crowned champions of the 2023-2024 FKF National Super League on Sunday, June 30th at the Police Circle Stadium. Despite losing 2-1 to Vihiga Bullets, they had already secured their first title in round 37. Mara Sugar finished the season with 84 points. In the 28th minute, Danielson Imbayi opened the scoring for Vihiga Bullets, closing the first half with a 1-0 advantage. Mara Sugar's Michael Isabwa scored the equalizer in the 59th minute. However, in the 71st minute, John Yawil claimed the lead for the Vihiga Bullets, securing the win. Mathare United and Naivas secured second and third place with 82 and 76 points respectively. Kajiado, Gusii and Silibwet will be relegated to the FKF Division 1 League for the 2024-2025 season. Naivas earned a playoff spot against FKF Premier League side Sofapaka for a chance to secure a spot in the FKF Premier League next season. The first leg of the playoff will be on Saturday and the second leg on Sunday. Nairobi United's Henry Omolo bagged in the 2023-2024 top scorer with 17 points. Former Mara Sugar forward Philemon Nyakwaka, Kisumu All-Stars Michael Karamol and Mombasa Elites Emmanuel Lunalo all tied in position 2 with 16 points.
Nini aliingia vizuri Samuel Otieno akaupika mtisha na kurudi mchezoni. Piga kona ya chini kwa chini, anakosa kuunganisha namna gani? Pata bao hapa. Bao la kwanza wanasawazisha Mara hapa. Boniface Otieno jaza mpira ndani, bao la pili ililetwa vizuri naye Wardvin Okoth kwa mguu.
Kenya Police clinched the 2024 Mozart Bet Cup title after beating KCB 8-7 in post-match penalties. The match ended 0-0 in relegation and extra time. Patrick Matasi scored the winning penalty, securing a CAF Confederation Cup slot and 2 million Kenya shillings for Kenya Police. AFC Leopards Arthur Gitego bagged the Golden Boot Award, while Kenya Police David Owino won the Valuable Player Award. Kenya Police's goalkeeper Patrick Matasi maintained 4 clean sheets throughout the tournament, earning him the Golden Glove Award. Earlier, AFC Leopards finished third in the Mozart Bet Cup tournament after edging past Kariobangi Sharks 2-1. Victor Omune opened the scoring for AFC Leopards in the 15th minute. Randy Bakari made it 2-0 in the 35th minute, giving the team a first half advantage. Kariobangi Shark Keith Imbali pulled one back in the 74th minute. Up next for Kenya Police is the CAF Confederation Cup set to be held later in July.
Angalia ilikuwa nafasi kuntu kabisa kama Daudi Okoth apewe maua yake kwa sababu angalia alileta cross safi kabisa. Clinton Kinanga alikuwa amenyatia katika maeneo sahihi wakati sahihi, lakini ubora wa Faruk ukamnyima.
Bila shaka ni tukio jingine hapa Kachi. Ilikuwa nafasi ya Police FC kuweza kuandika goli la kwanza, lakini mchezaji wa mwisho ambaye unaweza kusema kwamba yeye ndio alikuwa aweze kuweka mpira kwenye kama Clinton Kinanga, tunasema kwamba haukukaa vizuri ule mpira kwenye mguu wake wa kulia.
Ndio ngakuja
Messi ikawa ni mshindi wa pili, wakiondoka na shilingi milioni 1. KCB wako kukubali kuweza kuzivalia medali. Picha pamoja, picha ambayo haina tabasamu, kwa maana anajua kwamba bendera ambayo inapepea ni bendera ya Police FC. Akikamata vizuri kabisa ni mchezaji muite Abud Omar, lakini kikubwa kabisa akapata medali yake vile vile. Kombe akapewa kaka mkubwa, na kupewa kwa kombe hili kaka mkubwa ni kusema kwamba ni kimataifa zaidi. Police FC watawakilisha Kenya kimataifa. Police FC wanaondoka na shilingi milioni 2. Hapa ni kusema kwamba msimu wao haujawa mbaya hadi msimu ujao. Kwaheri.
Tonye Solomon, a talented Nigerian athlete, has set a new Guinness World Record for the longest time balancing a ball on his head while swimming in water. On Saturday, Solomon held the ball steady on his head for an impressive 24 minutes and 58 seconds in Bayelsa, Nigeria. This record-breaking feat comes just weeks after Solomon was recognized by Guinness World Records for climbing a 250-foot radio mast while balancing a football on his head. Solomon expressed his desire to inspire Nigerian youth and